These photos were taken on and near the Sellwood Bridge in Portland, Oregon in late November 2011. The Sellwood Bridge is scheduled to be replaced, and construction began in December of 2011. Sharon Wood Wortman, author of the Portland Bridge book, provided the following comments about the history of the Sellwood Bridge.
Sellwood Bridge opened in 1925, and it was one of 3 bridges that were being finished in Portland about that time, the Burnside and the Ross Island. And of course, it's because the community there was tired of depending on a ferry. Ferries were slow and everybody else was getting a bridge, so Sellwood wanted a bridge. It was part of a scandal. There was a 3-bridge contract to replace the old Burnside and to build a new Ross Island, and then to build the Sellwood Bridge. So they found out that the contractors were taking kickback money, and even the county commissioners were threatened with jail time. So that left the project without anybody to manage it or to make decisions. We're not really sure how it happened, but one of the most wonderful, famous bridge engineers really in the world at that time, Gustav Lyon, who was at the end of his career, lived in New York City. He'd been the New York Commissioner of Bridges. He got to Portland, and he was responsible. Most everything was designed back in the New York office. And for Sellwood, the old team wanted to bring up the trusses from the old Burnside Bridge. So Lindenthal says, that's not going to work. So I like to say that by the time he got done with Ross Island and the Burnside Bridge, he had about $11 left over to build Sellwood. Using an equation called statically indeterminate, he built this Sellwood Bridge, and so doing, he made it a 4-span continuous truss, which meant that it had just the least amount of materials. Anybody can build a bridge that will stand up, but it takes an engineer to design one that will barely stand up. And that's exactly what Lindenthal did. He built a bridge that was just the minimum amount needed there. So it was this very long, 2-lane bridge, but it did the job. Soils engineering was not very well understood. That whole discipline was just getting going in the 20s, and so the bridge was built on fill. And so when there was land movement over there, which is something that's ongoing on the west side, the bridge started sliding towards the river. And so if you go underneath the bridge today, you could look up and you can see transverse fractures around the piers at the west end. You can see where the counties put in stabilizing pins. On their website, they really explain what they've done to keep the bridge safe. They reduced the load limit, and they look at the bridge every 3 months to make sure it's safe. This was a wonderfully designed, innovative bridge, and this 4-span continuous truss really did solve problems and has continued to solve problems for 85 years and has done such a good job of that. Because Portland, Vancouver are steel bridge cities, I'm glad we are getting a beautiful new steel arch. However, I am sad to see yet another lovely old truss bridge disappear.